Be me. 41. Vice President of Operations at Logistics Company in Kansas City, Missouri. Making $156,000 plus quarterly bonuses. Managing entire operational backbone of freight empire. Company is Midwest Logistics Solutions. We move products across Fortune 500 manufacturers. This isn't some small operation, 280 employees, $95 million in annual revenue. We coordinate trucking routes through 12 states, manage 4 massive warehouse facilities, handle supply chains that keep assembly lines running across the Midwest. My domain is everything that moves in this company. Warehouse operations, transportation networks, customer service teams. 3 divisions, 240 people reporting up through my chain of command. Report directly to CEO, sit in executive meetings with CFO, VP Sales, VP Technology. Been building this career for 17 years. Climbed from dispatcher to manager to director to VP. Promoted to this role 2 years ago. First woman to reach VP level in company's 30-year history. Broke through that glass ceiling, proud of what I accomplished. Ready to transform the culture. Make this company truly equitable. But when I looked around at leadership team I inherited, same old story everywhere. 7 warehouse facility managers running our distribution centers, all 7 were men. 5 transportation dispatch supervisors coordinating driver network, all 5 were men. Customer service had some women, but 3 team leads making real decisions, 2 were men. Out of 120 commercial drivers hauling freight across Midwest, only 7 were women. This is 2023, and we're running operations like it's 1983. Good old boys club at every level of the organization. Keeping women stuck in hourly positions with no path to advancement. I've fought this my entire career in logistics industry. Watching less qualified men leap over me on the org chart. Being questioned on every decision while male colleagues got nodded through. Now I had the power to change it. VP authority to hire and fire. Time to dismantle this boys club brick by brick, position by position. What I didn't realize was how fast you can destroy a $95 million company. When you prioritize gender over competence in industry where mistakes cost millions. This is the story of how I replaced experienced men with unqualified women. Watched our largest client walk away with $22 million in annual revenue. Got fired after consultant documented $26 million in total damage. And destroyed my own career trying to build equity through discrimination. First year as VP, I'm observing patterns carefully, building case for change. Watching how assignments flow to male managers automatically. How promotions favor men with leadership presence, whatever that means. Documenting every instance where qualified women get passed over. Warehouse managers never have women candidates in succession pipeline. When I ask why, told it's physical work, women don't typically apply. Transportation dispatch is similar excuse. Demanding schedules, women prefer regular hours. These are rationalizations, justifications for maintaining comfortable status quo. I'm building the evidence file, preparing to make systemic changes. Month 6, first real opportunity presents itself. Warehouse manager position opens at our Columbus facility. Current manager retiring after 18 years, knows every inch of operation. Standard practice would be promote assistant manager, guy named Mark Stevens. Mark's 38, been in that role for 5 years. Highly capable professional. Knows the systems, has relationships with warehouse staff, obvious succession choice. Everyone assumes Mark gets promoted. It's the obvious move. But Mark is male. Promoting him continues pattern of all-male warehouse management. I start looking at alternative candidates, anyone who could potentially work. Find Rachel Martinez, 34. Currently works as logistics coordinator at headquarters. She manages paperwork, tracks shipments between facilities, coordinates with clients. Office role, climate controlled, no direct warehouse experience, no supervisory background. But she's organized, detail-oriented, and most importantly, she's a woman. Bring the hire to operations leadership meeting with Director of Warehouse Operations. Tom Brewster, 52, been managing warehouses since before I was born. He's confused when I propose Rachel for Columbus Warehouse Manager. Rachel from Logistics Coordination? She's never worked a warehouse floor. She manages complex logistics projects. Organizational skills transfer directly. Organizational skills don't teach inventory management or labor scheduling. She can learn the technical aspects. We need diverse perspectives. Mark has been preparing for this role for 5 years. He knows the facility. Mark will have other opportunities. This is chance to diversify leadership. Tom's frustrated but doesn't argue further. He reports to me. I hire Rachel for Columbus Warehouse Manager over Mark's objections. Mark is visibly disappointed when he hears the news. He requests meeting with me the next day, professional but clearly hurt. I don't understand this decision. I've been working toward this for years. Rachel brings perspective that will benefit the facility. I know every system, every client, every employee at that facility. Sometimes fresh perspective is more valuable than institutional knowledge. This feels like I'm being passed over because I'm a man. You're being passed over because we need gender diversity in warehouse leadership. He accepts it because he has to, but I see the frustration building. Document his resistance to diversity initiatives in my leadership notes. Month 8, Rachel starts as warehouse manager, enthusiastic but overwhelmed. Warehouse operations are complex, brutal, unforgiving when you don't know what you're doing. Managing inventory across 40,000 square feet, coordinating inbound and outbound simultaneously. Supervising 20 warehouse workers who've been doing this longer than she's been with company. She makes rookie mistakes that experienced managers wouldn't make. Accepts shipment without checking pallet count. We're short 180 units, $12,000 loss. Schedules receiving and shipping in overlapping time slots. Loading dock becomes chaos. Forgets to check truck weights before loading. Driver gets ticketed for overweight. Staff members start going directly to Mark for guidance, even though he's not manager. Mark helps Rachel informally because he's professional, but it's awkward. Month 10, Tom Brewster comes to me with performance data from Topeka. Rachel's facility has had 4 significant operational errors in 2 months. She's learning, transitions take time, give her runway to develop. We've had 2 shipping delays that triggered client penalty clauses, cost us $8,000. Those are learning experiences, part of the adjustment period. Learning experiences that cost us money and damage client relationships. Are you saying she can't do the job because she's a woman? Tom gets quiet. He knows that accusation is dangerous territory. I'm saying she can't do the job because she lacks experience. Give her 6 months, she'll grow into it. But I know he's right. Rachel is drowning. I just won't admit it. Month 12, another opportunity, transportation dispatch, supervisor position opens. This role manages driver schedules for regional routes, coordinates 25 commercial drivers. Critical position, keeps freight moving, keeps revenue flowing. Current supervisor retiring, assistant supervisor is obvious succession candidate. James Wilson, 36, been assistant supervisor for 4 years, excellent performance. Drivers respect him. He understands DOT regulations, handles emergencies smoothly. But James is male, and I want women in transportation leadership. Start looking for alternatives. Find Lisa Chun, 29, customer service representative. She handles client calls, tracks shipments, resolves delivery complaints. Never worked in transportation, never coordinated driver schedules, never managed anyone. But she's friendly, organized, and she's a woman. Bring it to operations meeting. Director of Transportation is Robert Hayes. Robert's been in trucking his entire career, knows every route, every regulation. Lisa Chun from customer service? She's never worked transportation operations. She interacts with drivers through customer service, understands their challenges. Understanding as customer service rep is different from managing dispatch. She can be trained on technical systems. Interpersonal skills are harder. James Wilson has been doing this job at assistant level for 4 years. And we need women in transportation leadership. This is how we create pipeline. Robert is angry now. His face is red, voice getting louder. This is irresponsible. Dispatch supervision is critical to transportation network. I'm the VP of operations. I'm making this hiring decision. Hire Lisa over James, over Robert's strong objections. James doesn't request meeting, just sends one-line email. I'm disappointed and feel discriminated against based on my gender. I don't respond. Note his hostile attitude toward diversity in records. Lisa starts as dispatch supervisor, enthusiastic but completely overwhelmed. Dispatch operations are technical, fast-paced, require instant decision-making. Managing driver schedules across 200-mile radius, coordinating with warehouse receiving, dealing with DOT hours of service regulations, route optimization software. She doesn't understand routing efficiency, creates schedules that waste fuel, assigns drivers to routes they're not qualified for based on load weight, misses DOT compliance requirements, puts drivers in violation of regulations. Drivers start complaining they're getting inefficient routes, missing delivery windows. 3 experienced drivers request transfers to different dispatch supervisors. Month 14, Robert Hayes brings me data on Lisa's performance. Her routing inefficiencies are costing us $8,000 per month in excess fuel. She needs more training and mentorship support. We've provided extensive training. She's not grasping technical requirements. Then provide more training. We're committed to her development. The drivers are losing confidence in dispatch. That's dangerous for safety. Give her more time. She'll develop into the role. Robert walks out, shaking his head, muttering under his breath. Meanwhile, James Wilson has started interviewing at competing logistics companies. He's done. No future here. Time to find somewhere that promotes on merit. Month 16, I make the big move, the one that seals my fate. Instead of waiting for positions to open naturally, I accelerate transformation. Restructure entire operations organization. Eliminate positions. Create new ones. This gives me flexibility to remove men from leadership and replace with women. Announce major organizational redesign. I frame it as operational optimization. Reality is I'm engineering mass replacement of male managers with female managers. In warehouse operations, I eliminate 2 assistant manager positions. Both positions held by men with 8 to 10 years experience, supervisory roles. Create 3 new facility coordinator positions with vague responsibilities. Hire 3 women, 1 from customer service, 1 from logistics, 1 external. None have warehouse management experience, but all are women. The 2 assistant managers whose jobs I eliminated get offered lateral moves. Demotions from supervisory to non-supervisory, significant pay cuts. Mark Stevens, who I passed over for Topeka manager, is one of them. He resigns immediately, doesn't even finish the conversation. I'm not accepting demotion after 10 years with this company. Other assistant manager, Dave Phillips, also resigns within 24 hours. This is age and gender discrimination. I've contacted employment attorney. In transportation, I eliminate senior dispatcher position held by Carl Foster. Carl's been dispatching trucks for 15 years, knows every driver, every route. Create 2 route optimization specialist positions. Hire 2 women from customer service. Neither has transportation background. I frame it as bringing customer perspective. Carl is offered regular dispatcher position, massive pay cut, loss of seniority. He files formal complaint with corporate HR, then resigns when I refuse to reverse. Over 4-month restructuring period, I eliminate 8 positions held by experienced men. Create 11 new positions, hire 9 women, mostly from internal non-operations departments. External hires are women with minimal relevant experience. Gender composition of operations leadership shifts dramatically. Used to be 22 men, 8 women in supervisory and management positions. After restructuring, 14 men, 17 women, I've achieved gender balance. Proud of this transformation, excited about progress, convinced I'm making history. CEO is aware of restructuring. I presented it as organizational efficiency improvement. He trusts me to manage operations, doesn't get involved in day-to-day. CFO Richard Morrison asks a few questions about costs but doesn't dig deep. I'm flying under the radar, implementing my vision, transforming the culture. What I'm not seeing is the operational performance cliff we're about to drive off. Month 18, reality crashes down like semi-truck with fail brakes. Warehouse error rates have increased 34% since restructuring began. Wrong items shipped to clients. Inventory counts consistently off. Delivery delays. Client complaints about warehouse operations up 28% compared to previous year. We're paying penalty clauses for late deliveries, paying for return shipments. Transportation costs increased 19% due to inefficient routing and scheduling. Fuel overages from bad routing. Driver overtime from poor schedule coordination. Missed delivery windows, triggering penalty clauses with clients. Customer service response times have deteriorated, quality scores dropping fast. 3 of the facility coordinators I hired couldn't handle the job. They were overwhelmed by operational complexity, quit within 6 months. Rachel Martinez at Topeka is barely keeping facility functional. Staff works around her, makes decisions without her input. Lisa Chan in dispatch has drivers openly refusing her route assignments. They're calling Robert Hayes directly, bypassing Lisa, undermining authority. The women I hired from customer service for route optimization are lost. They don't understand trucking, making decisions that create problems. Client retention is suffering badly. We've lost 4 major accounts in 6 months. All 4 cited operational inconsistency and declining service quality. That's $3.8 million in annual revenue, gone because we can't deliver basic services. These aren't small clients. These are established accounts we've had for years. They didn't leave because of pricing or competition. They left because we failed. Month 20, CFO Richard Morrison presents quarterly financial results. Executive meeting, full leadership team. The numbers are catastrophic. Revenue down 8% year-over-year despite same client base and market conditions. Operating costs up 12% due to inefficiencies, errors, penalties, corrections. Profit margin compressed from 11% to 6%. We're barely profitable. Richard is direct. He's not sugarcoating this for anyone. What's driving these operational cost increases and revenue declines? We're working through transition period from organizational restructuring. Transition period is 18 months long. When do we see improvement? These changes take time to stabilize and show results. Our clients don't care about internal transitions. They care about on-time delivery. He pulls out client satisfaction data, projects it on screen for everyone. On-time delivery performance dropped from 94% to 87%. Order accuracy dropped from 97% to 91%. Problem resolution time increased from 4-hour average to 9-hour average. These are operational failures that are costing us clients and revenue. CEO William Parker, 52, speaks up now. He's been quiet but clearly concerned. Walk me through the organizational changes you made in operations. We restructured to create more efficient organizational design. Be specific what positions were eliminated and what positions were created. I have to explain it now, in front of entire executive team. How I eliminated experienced manager positions, created new positions for less experienced staff. How gender composition shifted from 73% male to 45% male leadership. Were the people you hired for these new positions qualified for operations management? They had transferable skills, and we're investing in their development. Did they have actual warehouse or transportation experience before you hired them? Some had relevant experience. Others were developmental hires. William's face is getting red. He's understanding what happened. You hired people without warehouse or transportation experience for operational roles. during period when we needed stability to maintain service quality. I was correcting historical gender imbalance in operations leadership. At what cost? We've lost $3.8 million in client revenue, and costs are up 12%. Richard jumps in with more data. He's been preparing this presentation. VP of Operations made 17 hiring and promotion decisions in past 18 months. In 14 of those decisions, she selected less experienced female candidates over more experienced male candidates who were passed over or eliminated. Male managers with years of relevant experience had positions eliminated. Female managers with no operations experience were hired into critical roles. He's got spreadsheets, comparison charts, experience levels, performance outcomes. My ideology is laid bare in data form for entire executive team to see. Month 22, the crisis that ends everything hits. Our largest client, automotive parts manufacturer, $22 million annual contract. That's 23% of our total revenue, absolutely critical account. They send formal letter to CEO detailing operational failures over 18 months. Shipments delayed, causing production line stoppages at their factories. Wrong parts shipped, causing quality control failures in assembly process. Inventory mismanagement, resulting in stockouts of critical components. Poor communication from our teams, problems not escalated appropriately. Letter lists 27 specific incidents with dates, details, financial impact. Total cost to them from our operational failures, $1.3 million over 18 months. They're giving 90-day notice. They're moving to competitor. Losing $22 million in annual revenue. That's 23% of our total business. For a company our size, that could be fatal, bankruptcy-level loss. Emergency executive meeting within hours. CEO is furious, actually yelling. How do we get a point where our largest client is firing us? They've experienced operational challenges during restructuring period. Restructuring? You replaced experienced managers with unqualified people. That's not accurate. They had transferable skills. Richard slams the table. He's done being diplomatic. Stop lying. They had no warehouse or transportation experience. You eliminated positions held by men with 8 to 15 years experience. You hired women from customer service and logistics coordination. You prioritized gender over qualification and destroyed operational performance. William demands complete analysis of every decision I made. He wants spreadsheet of every hire, every elimination, every restructuring move. He wants performance data on every person I hired versus people I replaced. He's done trusting me. He's going forensic on my entire tenure as VP. Month 23, outside management consultant brought in to investigate. Major consulting firm. They do 2-week operational assessment. Interview 40-plus employees. Review 18 months of performance data. Analyze org structure. Their report arrives. 85 pages, I'm copied on it. Reading it is torture. Every page documents my failures. Operations leadership was systematically replaced without regard for experience. Warehouse managers with no warehouse experience generating significant errors. Transportation supervisors with no dispatch background creating costly inefficiencies. Facility coordinators with no supervisory experience unable to manage workforce. Report documents every problematic hire with specific performance failures. Rachel Martinez, Topeka Warehouse, 12 major shipping errors, $87,000 in costs. Lisa Chun, Dispatch Supervisor, routing inefficiencies costing $8,000 monthly, $144,000 annual. 3 facility coordinators quit. Cost of recruiting and training, $65,000 wasted. 2 route optimization specialists, contributing to 19% cost increase, $380,000 annual. Financial impact section is devastating. Consultant quantified everything. Increased operational costs from inefficiencies and errors, $1.8 million annually. Lost revenue from client attrition due to poor service, $2.4 million annually. At-risk revenue from major client preparing to leave, $22 million annually. Total financial exposure from operational leadership changes, $26.2 million. Consultants' conclusions are professionally worded but brutally clear. VP of Operations prioritized demographic composition over operational competence. Systematically replaced experienced male managers with inexperienced female managers. Predictable results: performance declined, costs increased, clients dissatisfied. Immediate action required. Restore experienced operational leadership. Report specifically recommends my termination as VP of Operations. Current VP demonstrated poor judgment in critical personnel decisions. Allowed ideological considerations to override business requirements. Lacks credibility with operational staff and has lost confidence of clients. Board of Directors receives the report, calls emergency meeting. I'm summoned to explain my decisions to board of 7 people. Founder and majority owner William Parker leads questioning, cold and formal. Did you eliminate positions held by experienced men to create positions for women? I restructured operations to create more equitable leadership composition. Yes or no, did you replace experienced men with inexperienced women? I replaced managers with candidates who had development potential. Development potential doesn't coordinate truck routes or manage warehouse inventory. Answer directly. Did you prioritize gender over experience in hiring? Long pause. I know lying won't work. The data proves everything. I prioritized creating opportunities for women who had been historically excluded. That's yes, you prioritized gender over qualifications. I prioritized equity over maintaining discriminatory status quo. And it cost us $26 million in financial exposure and our largest client. Board member Susan Chun, 61, successful businesswoman, asks critical question. I support diversity strongly, but did you ensure these women were qualified? They had foundational skills that could transfer to operational roles. Foundational skills aren't operational experience. Were they qualified? They were qualified to develop into the roles with proper support. That's no, they weren't qualified. You hired them hoping they'd figure it out. Another board member asks about the automotive client. Did you personally manage that account relationship? My operations team managed the service delivery for that client. The team you built with inexperienced managers who couldn't deliver basic services. The team I built to create diverse and inclusive leadership. That lost us $22 million. That might bankrupt this company. Vote is unanimous. All 7 board members vote to terminate my employment. Effective immediately for demonstrating catastrophically poor judgment. Causing substantial operational and financial damage through ideological changes. Failing to prioritize operational performance and client satisfaction. Walk out that afternoon with box of personal items. 9 years with Midwest Logistics Solutions. Ended in single board meeting. Severance is 6 weeks' pay. They're not generous given the damage. Month 24. Company moves fast to fix what I broke. They contact men I pushed out, men I passed over, men whose positions I eliminated. Mark Stevens, who should have been Topeka warehouse manager 18 months ago. James Wilson, who should have been dispatch supervisor instead of Lisa. Dave Phillips and Carl Foster, whose positions I eliminated in restructuring. They offer positions back, some with promotions, some with increased authority. 3 accept and return. Mark becomes Topeka warehouse manager finally. James becomes regional dispatch supervisor overseeing multiple teams. Carl returns as senior dispatcher with authority over route optimization. 4th guy, Dave Phillips, declines. He's a competitor making more money. They hire experienced warehouse and transportation managers externally. Within 8 weeks, performance metrics start recovering. Error rates declining, efficiency improving, client complaints decreasing. Rachel Martinez moved back to logistics coordinator, job she was good at. Lisa Chun back to customer service, where her skills actually fit. The women I promoted beyond capability repositioned appropriately. Not fired, not punished, just placed in roles matching actual experience. Some are relieved. They were drowning in jobs they weren't prepared for. Month 26, I'm 42, unemployed, searching desperately for VP roles. News has spread through logistics industry like wildfire. VP at Midwest Logistics replaced experienced male managers with unqualified women. Nearly lost $22 million client, largest account, due to operational failures. Terminated after consultant documented $26 million in financial damage. Company had to beg former employees to return and fix disaster. This is what shows up in Google searches, what LinkedIn connections whisper. Can't get interviews anywhere in logistics or supply chain management. Recruiters are direct when they bother responding at all. Your reputation in the industry is severely damaged. Companies need operational leaders who prioritize performance over politics. What you did at Midwest Logistics is case study in what not to do. No one's going to risk their operations department on your ideology. 6 months unemployed, burning through severance and savings. Rent is expensive in Kansas City. Unemployment doesn't cover lifestyle. Finally get offer through connection who feels sorry for me. Operations manager at small distribution company, 15-person warehouse, $68,000 salary. From $156,000 vice president overseeing 280 employees to $68,000 manager with 15 reports. From executive leadership making strategic decisions to middle management doing tactical work. From corner office to cubicle, from executive parking to general lot. Complete career destruction, fell from top to middle in 6 months. 1 year after termination, I'm 43, making $68,000 managing small warehouse. My job is inventory management, local delivery coordination, basic supervision. Nothing strategic, nothing transformative, just keeping shelves organized. Meanwhile, Midwest Logistics has stabilized completely under new VP of operations. Guy named Thomas Richardson, 56, conventional logistics executive, 30 years experience. No ideology, no agenda, just competence-based leadership. Performance metrics back to pre-crisis levels within 6 months of my departure. Client satisfaction scores recovering, complaint rates dropping to historical norms. Most critically, they retain the automotive parts manufacturer. Once experienced managers were restored, service quality improved immediately. Client agreed to stay after seeing rapid operational improvements. Company avoided the $22 million revenue loss that would have meant layoffs or bankruptcy. Article appears in logistics industry publication about the turnaround. Midwest Logistics recovers from near-fatal operational crisis. They don't name me, but everyone in industry knows what happened. After a period of severe operational challenges, company restored experience management. Performance metrics returned to historical excellence. Client retention strengthened. Quotes from William Parker about lessons learned. Operations excellence requires experienced leadership, not ideological experimentation. We learned that diversity is important, but operational competence is essential. Hiring people for roles they're not qualified for helps no one. Real diversity comes from developing talent properly, not putting unprepared people in critical positions. Comment section fills with industry professionals sharing opinions. Several mention they know about the situation with a former VP. Heard she replaced all the experienced guys with women from customer service. Classic example of politics over performance. Nearly destroyed $95 million company. Those former managers she pushed out are the ones who saved the company. My name isn't mentioned, but everyone in Kansas City Logistics knows. 2 years after termination, still making $70,000 at small distributor. Run into Mark Stevens at Logistics Industry Conference in Chicago. He's presenting on warehouse operations optimization, respected expert now. After his presentation, I approach him, need closure, need to apologize. That was excellent presentation, Mark, really insightful. He recognizes me immediately, expression shifts to professional neutrality. Thank you, appreciate it. How have you been? Working as operations manager at small distributor, much smaller scale. Small operations have their own unique challenges. Awkward silence stretches. I force myself to say what I came to say. I'm sorry for passing you over for Topeka warehouse manager position. You gave that job to Rachel, who had no warehouse experience. While I had 5 years as assistant manager, I was trying to create opportunities for women in operations leadership by denying opportunities to men who'd earned them through experience. He's direct, but not cruel, just stating facts. Rachel is good person and capable professional, but she wasn't ready. She struggled for 18 months, made costly mistakes, clients complained. It wasn't fair to her, putting her in position she wasn't prepared for. And it wasn't fair to me, denying me promotion I'd worked toward for years. Every word lands like a punch, because every word is accurate. When they called me after you were fired, asked me to come back, I almost said no. Why did you come back? Because I care about the company and the people who work there, the employees who depend on that paycheck. And because I wanted to prove that experience matters, that competence matters, that you can't just ignore qualifications, that you can't put someone in critical operational role just because of gender and expect same results. He's proven his point thoroughly. Topeka runs perfectly under his leadership. Error rates down to near zero, client satisfaction scores at all-time highs. The real problem wasn't about diversity, it was about judgment. You replaced experienced people with inexperienced people, and somehow expected same operational results. That's not how logistics works. Experience matters, knowledge matters, competence matters. You can't put someone who's never worked warehouse floor in charge of major distribution facility. You can't put someone who's never coordinated trucking schedules in charge of regional transportation and expect everything to just work out because you're checking diversity boxes. He walks away to join colleagues. Successful director of warehouse operations now. Oversees all facilities for Midwest logistics, exactly where his experience should have taken him. I return a hotel room, no longer relevant in logistics leadership circles. 3 years after termination, I'm 44, still making $72,000 as operations manager. Small distributor, simple inventory management, local delivery coordination. Nothing like managing 280 employees and $95 million in operational complexity. Midwest Logistics is thriving now, grown to $118 million in annual revenue. Expanded into new markets, added service lines, everything I prevented. The men I pushed out or passed over are in senior leadership positions. Mark Stevens is Director of Warehouse Operations, oversees all distribution facilities. James Wilson is VP of Transportation, manages entire fleet and logistics network. Both promoted to positions they earned through competence and operational excellence. Carl Foster is Senior Transportation Manager, leading route optimization initiatives. The women I overpromoted are doing fine in appropriate roles.